What's going on? So in today's video, I want to talk about why you can't increase your bench press, why you're having why you're struggling to. The video I'm doing some overhead press just built up to a 215 press, but I failed it, so that sucked. Then I hit some bench at 255 for 8, which is nice for my wide grip. And one thing that holds people back so much when it comes to gaining strength on bench is having an aversion to gaining weight. So if you're someone that just wants to stay lean all the time, you don't want to gain weight. It doesn't even matter if you just want to stay lean. It's more like you don't want to gain weight. You're screwed for increasing your bench, because bench is really just a bodybuilding contest with no form of conditioning or body fat in there. So like you can be as fat as you want, you know what I'm saying? But the more muscular person is going to bench more weight. And that's really what it comes down to, is you need to, especially if you're new to the gym, you just need to get jacked and your bench will go up. And that comes into the next point, which is especially if you're, I see a lot of people like this, they bench like under 225, or maybe they're hitting 225 and they have a huge arch, crazy wide grip, they call themselves a powerlifter, all that stuff. And that's cool. But if that's like the main way you're training your bench, you're missing out by not getting some form of like really small arch work in, close grip, wide grip, small arch, overhead press, and just rounding yourself out as a strength athlete. You need to do your flies, you need to do raises, dumbbell raises, you need to do curls, chin-ups, all these things. You just need to get more jacked. Generally, you can start worrying about like specificity to bench press maybe after you bench 315. That's probably when I would throw it in for most people. After 315, shit gets real. But before that, you just need to get jacked. Just as jacked as possible, because being jacked is so important for the bench press. And that's why I actually don't recommend much of an arch at all. And that's why on most of my benching, I have a small arch, because developmentally it's so superior. And another reason people have trouble gaining weight on their bench is really bad programming. Not that you need to have like amazing programming, but always maxing out or always going heavy is going to mess you up in the long run. Not pure injury standpoint, that's kind of whatever. It's just not going to be good for your strength. What you need to do is you need to spend time in higher rep phases. This is why I absolutely love Juggernaut for increasing my bench, and it exploded my bench. I might even just write a program and put it in the description of this video. You need to do sets of 10, sets of 8 to 12 for like 4 weeks or something, 4 to 6 weeks. And then you can go back into your 6s, your 4s, your 2s. And you'd be surprised by, if you increase your 10 rep sets by like 20 pounds, you'd be surprised how much it translates to your 1 rep max. My bench blew up when I did this for the first time. The first time I ran Juggernaut, I repped essentially my max for like 5 reps, like 7 weeks in. It was insane. And yeah, that's really what it is. You need to have some form of higher volume. It's literally just block periodization, but beginners they tend to kind of lose sight of that, and they just want to go heavy all the time. And I've been there, but having some form of like, I do 8s for 2 weeks, or I do 10s for 2 weeks, I do 8s for 2 weeks, 6s for 2 weeks, and I do like 4s for 2, and then 2s for 2 weeks. Literally just something simple like that. You need to get high rep bodybuilding work in for bench, and then the heavy work will come around. You'll be thankful you hit the high rep stuff. Being jacked is so good for benching. This right here is the chest expander curl. I really feel it hitting the biceps a lot. And I recommend getting this device if you have the money to do it and you actually care about using one. But that's pretty much all I have to say about the bench right now. It's simple. It's just something that takes a lot of effort. You just got to work hard, eat a lot, sleep a lot. Like I said in my supplement video, have a half decent program that works. And you just got to come back and do this shit for like 5 years. You'll have a big bench. You'll have a big chest. Everything will be okay. So yeah. I just wanted to throw on at the end, what I use to peak my bench the best is to run the first 2 cycles of Juggernaut the 10s and the 8s, and then go into Russian squat program for bench. That's always worked well for me, and it makes sense that it would, because it's 6 weeks of hypertrophy work, of crazy hypertrophy work, especially if you fill out those workouts and you hit your accessories. You're going to be genuinely just more fucking jacked than before, whether you want to or not. You're just going to be more jacked. And then you do 6 weeks Russian squat program with a 90% max, and you'd be surprised how much your bench goes up with that. Afterwards, run like a longer hypertrophy block, because the Russian squat program, whenever I've ran it too close, like back to back or without a decent break in between, it's just never been good. I've never gotten good gains when I've tried to run it back to back. So a good long hypertrophy block after that is something I'd really recommend. So, and a lot of times with like the 5s as well, stay in that like 4 to 6 rep range after you do your hypertrophy stuff. Then run it again, maybe. So like I would probably double. So I'd hit the same thing, run the 10 and 8 phase of Juggernaut for, that's like 6 weeks, and then I'd probably hit the 5s in Juggernaut as well, and then I would run Russian squat again.